Thousands of you enjoyed the NHL opening week $9 special, so it's only fair that we offer the NBA fans the same deal. Every NBA daily package for the opening week through Monday, October 25th is just $9. That's right, you will not be paying $25 for a package, nor will you be paying $35 for 5% best bets for the opening week of the NBA, as all daily basketball packages are only $9. Make sure to tune in every Monday through Friday for the NBA Tip-Off Show on WagerTalk TV, and then save and start the NBA season with a slam dunk deal.
All right, guys, welcome in. Happy Friday to you here. This is time for another edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show, powered by WagerTalk.com. We had day 3 of the association, the season underway last night. Bit chalky, but we've got a much bigger card here tonight. We've got our customary contrarian play of the day, as well as our overtime and a couple of featured matchups we'll go over, and we'll do it with 3 of Wager Talk's most profitable NBA handicappers here. Steve Merrill in the house, Tony Mejia back in action, and Swiss Miss himself from across the pond there, Kevin Dolan, hanging with us here on the NBA Tip-Off Show. And Steve, undefeated is always a good thing, and that's pretty much what you are thus far in the 21-22 NBA season, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, Joe actually missed it by a point. We're 1 point away from being undefeated. We missed the late game last night by a single point. Golden State blew the 19-point lead. So 4-0 turned into 4-1 instead of 5-0. But, hey, still a great start, obviously, in the NBA, and we're seeing it well. And don't forget, it's not a surprise. Last year, college hoops, we started 17-4. Going to see if we can do that in the NBA here with this 4-1 starting. By the way, I've got 2 best bets for Friday night, and they're still $9 this week. And since it's a 2-pack, it's $9. So it's technically $4.50 each. Huge college and pro football card for Saturday and Sunday. I've got Game 6 between the Dodgers and Braves posted in advance because I really like that game tomorrow. So maybe consider a full week subscription for half price with promo code WEEK59, WEEK59, Week 59, 7 days and nights. Every basketball, baseball, and football play, just $59. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com, Week 59.
Yep, let me go ahead and retract that compliment. You suck, Merrill, okay? Thanks, much for being undefeated. That kind of horse. Who writes this shit? All right, very good then. We'll move on. Tony Mejia, my man, what is going on? Boy, oh boy, you wanted us to scream from the rooftops. Miami, take the heat. Miami, at home, bit of a revenge situation there, and you know it's a good night when they're actually screaming for 100-year-old Haslam to join in on the fun and get in the game. But well done last night, man. You called it. You called it 2 months ago, and that was a winner last night. Way to go.
Yeah, you know either what your gig is or what your wagers are when you're sitting there watching that let's get Udonis Haslam in the game thing with Eric Spoelstra smiling on the bench, and all you can think about is, damn, Jordan Nwora, you better score one more point, because he felt just one missed free throw. He had a chance late over his point scoring prop, and that's what I was looking at late in that game that was over after the first quarter. But yes, sidewise, very happy with that. 2-0 on 4% plays this season, 9-2 dating back to last season, and then I was number 1 in NBA 5% plays last year. So we're seeing the big ticket items today. Look, I got a dozen plays today. For the $9, I think lines are soft. I told you that off air, and I'm dabbling in early props, so I'll even give a couple of those out for free today. But yeah, looking forward to a big weekend. NFL, I'm 12-1-1 over my last 14 total and spread plays. I'll have a 5% play there on Sunday, and pretty good Saturday last week. 3-0 Friday last week in college football too. So we may dabble in a 5% play tomorrow for college football. Tonight's college card is already up and live, and I have an LCS pick that I really love tonight. I don't think I'm going to touch the NLCS like Steve. Really don't like that series whatsoever in Game 6.
Got anything else? I don't know. Is there anything else? Because just good God, there's like 3,000 plays going on there.
Hey,
yeah, like this. I got soccer. I got Belarus handball coming up tonight. What is going on here? Kevin Dolan, what's happening, brother, man? Looking for yet another profitable NBA season. I know you are. And what's been going on this week with you?
Yeah, all good, Joe. Actually, funny story. You released my first NBA play of the season for tonight, early this morning. I've talked about this on the show before. Kind of one of the advantages I have over here, obviously, is I kind of get a jump on those overnight lines sometimes first thing in the morning with the time difference. Obviously, not such an advantage when we're doing live shows like this, obviously, but, got up, pounded the line, loved the spot, checked back after breakfast, and the line had, shot away up. So after writing all the breakdown analysis and all that and sending it out, it was only out for about 30 minutes. I had to take it back down. So, hopefully we can find a couple of games that actually stay up over the weekend. But I love this stage of the season. This is when I traditionally ramp things up in the NBA. I need those first couple of days to get a bit of a data bank, so to speak. So, hopefully we get a few more stable lines, as I say, and, give out some winners on today's show.
Let's do it then. As long as we don't have to bust out the Swiss flag for your ass, we'll be just good here, Kevin Dolan. All right, guys, what better place to start than the customary Contrarian play of the day? Now, we did a couple of nights ago have the Detroit Pistons taking those points against the Chicago Bulls. No need to rehash that disgustingness. So we're going to move on to a game today. And stop laughing, Mejia. We're going to look at the Toronto Raptors taking on the Boston Celtics. Now, an interesting matchup here, guys, from the standpoint, and I always love when I'm seeing 70% of the tickets, 70% of the money, and the line not moving, which is kind of what we've got here tonight. We've got people that saw Toronto against Washington and went, oh, God, what is that? Oh, God, it's terrible. And then, of course, Boston going to double overtime over the Knicks. So tell me what you think here, man. Typical overreaction. Obviously, the public is going to back Boston here, Steve. Might we interest you in taking the contrarian side here and go with the Raptors in the 6.5?
Well, I dared to anger the contrarian gods Wednesday with a best bet on the Bulls. Never in doubt over the Pistons. Never in doubt. Actually, that's the only one we've had to sweat this year. We had the Heat last night as well. And they had the Timberwolves that other night. But we did fade the contrarian on the show here Wednesday with the Bulls with some success. I just didn't think the Pistons were ready to be primetime players. You could say maybe the Raptors aren't either, but I do think they're a much better team than the Pistons, for example. I think this is a bad spot for Boston, as you mentioned, off that high-scoring overtime double OT loss to the Knicks. It was a high-profile game. They have to travel and play Houston just 2 days later now on Sunday. This is a one-game sandwich at home. Also, the Wizards, I had a free play on WagerTalk today, Wednesday, and I mentioned I like the Wizards over 34 season wins. I do think Washington could be an underrated team this year. Now, I stayed off that game against Toronto because I thought it might take a little bit of time for the new team to gel under head coach Wes Unseld Jr., but I think the Wizards are a decent playoff caliber team, so I'm not going to discount Toronto's loss too much. I think it's a bad spot for Boston, so I have no problem backing the contrarian this time with the Raptors.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you over all that chalk with the Bulls play the other night. I'm sorry. My ears were a little muffled there. Yeah. Tony Mejia, talk to me here, my friend. Now, if you didn't watch the Raptors game, I guess the one thing, the score does not indicate, I think, what we really saw on the court. What we saw is a Toronto team that can play some defense. I think 5 of 27 from the perimeter is what they had, the Wizards. So if they can get the offense moving, Toronto's not exactly as bad as the score indicated. What do you think?
Well, this is not one of my plays, and I have a ton of them. So this is out of respect for the contrarian gods, I guess. And I don't see that it's starting off 0-2. You're right about the defense. Chris Boucher played, which was great, and the kid Scotty Barnes, the rookie from FSU, is very long as well. But I mean, the reason why they got destroyed was OG Anunoby and Fred VanVleet shot a combined 8 for 37 from the field. So unless you think that they're headed for that again at TD Garden, they should be more competitive. And you also have to worry about, especially with laying points, the fact that 4 players from the Boston Celtics played over or close to 45 minutes, including Jaylen Brown, who was in quarantine last week. They might get Al Horford back, and he's been in quarantine. So if he plays like Brown did, where Brown scores 46 points with breathing and stuff on the bench and saying, I can't breathe after the game, my heartbeat's irregular, just going absolutely nuts, then it's the team that's in trouble is the Raptors. But I don't know that Horford will play, and we're looking at Tatum, who was terrible the other night, Robert Williams and Marcus Smart all playing 45 minutes. maybe there's a dead leg situation. So yeah, I'm staying away from this one.
All right, staying away from that one there. Kevin Dolan, talk to me. Can we interest you in a little contrarian Raptors tonight getting the points?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I quite like Toronto here. I mean, I think we all call the Celtics as the play for Wednesday's show over in New York as the value side. Obviously didn't get it done, but anytime you're taking an underdog heading into double overtime, generally it's going to be the right side. And the Celtics played well in that game. 19 fast break points are up through 12 midway through the second quarter as well. And, their offensive rebound production was standout also. But, it's like you guys highlighted, Toronto, the result was poor, the performance was poor. But there were some stats they actually did well in, one of them being offensive rebounds, number one in the league over game one. The issue for this Raptors team was their shooting. It was just woeful stuff. 30.9% field goal percentage. That was the lowest in the game one rota, lowest in the league right now. 20.6% 3-point percentage, also third lowest in the league right now. So we know Toronto can't be much worse, basically, than what they look like on Wednesday. To hopefully how they'll perform later tonight. I've always been a proponent of buying low on teams. I think you kind of have to be if you're going to make money in this business. So, potentially, if we do get the 7, you never know before game time. I might have to wait on the Raptors here. So Raptors definitely the only way I could play this one. And, if it does get any kind of higher at all, I might well be in a play on this one on my card.
Well, it's certainly we certainly know where the public lies on this one. So that'll be it, guys. Our contrarian play of the day. We are looking at the Toronto Raptors taking the 6.5. Heading to the Boston Garden, taking on the Celtics. We'll move on to our first featured game of the show, guys, and what better one to look at than the Brooklyn Nets taking on Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons. The 76ers here. Ben Simmons needs a little rest. And this game opens up at 1. It has since moved another point towards Brooklyn. I'm seeing 2s in a lot of spots. The total, 229.5, and that appears to have come down. I'm seeing 226s now in a number of spots, Tony Mejia. So I'll come to you here. And what a shock. Embiid showed up on the injury report, right? Got a knee issue. Here we go. I believe still questionable, but no Shake Milton here in this one tonight. So what are we looking at, do you think, with the Sixers and the Nets?
Yeah, I mean, I think Embiid is going to play, but this isn't a playoff situation where we're, waiting on him to play, and he's like, oh, I don't feel great, but I'm going to go. And then he goes out and dominates because it's game 2. So if he's feeling any soreness and doesn't feel great before the game, he'll sit his ass down. And that's the smart thing to do. Ben Simmons, does he need a mental break? Is he mentally broken? Either way, he's not playing. Probably won't see him until 2022. And so this is, even if Embiid plays, a situation where the Sixers are shorthanded and the Nets are out for a much better showing than they had against Milwaukee in game 1. Is very flat-footed. Kevin Durant missed some shots that he normally make, even though he shot over 50% from the field. James Harden looked good, but also missed shots that he'd normally make. And they got absolutely nothing from a supporting cast that's pretty deep. I think the only players that actually played well were Nick Claxton and Patty Mills, who came off the bench doing what Patty Mills does. So they can look forward to that as a spark plug all year. It doesn't surprise me that the preseason favorite is favored despite looking so poor in Milwaukee. With Embiid questionable, this is Brooklyn or bust for me.
All right, Brooklyn or bust there. How about it, Kevin Dolan? What do you think here? Embiid, no Embiid, does it matter to you?
Well, actually, this is the game I talked about earlier. This is the game I released and had to take down. Woke up this morning, -1s hanging out there, pretty much consensus. I believe it was around 3 a.m. with you guys. And I just jumped on that. I was like, that's a great line. Basically what Tony said. Look, they got embarrassed in game 1 against the Bucks. And I think they put in a much better showing here, tonight against Philly. The underlying numbers in that game for Brooklyn, they weren't even that bad, especially, they did miss some shots, but, 53.1% from beyond the arc, almost 60 points at the half. But, it's obvious they're missing some kind of key dynamic without Kyrie in there. The flow's just not the same. But they have an extra day to prepare. And on top of that, Philly were absolutely lights out in their win against New Orleans, 50% plus in both effective field goal percentage and 3-point percentage for the Sixers. I can't see, that lasting too long. I jumped on this line, as I said, at -1. It moved up to 3.5 even in some spots. Seems to have settled back down a wee bit since then. But look, as I said, for all the points, I just mentioned, Tony mentioned, I share that enthusiasm. I think the Nets get it done tonight after getting embarrassed on the road in game 1. So obviously some line value gone right now, but still, I like the Nets here, -2.5.
So, yeah, well, listen, I mean, there's no question that Simmons not on the court. They are a little less effective defensively, Steve Merrill. The totals come down here a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Do you anticipate if Embiid is a go and it's announced that way that the line moves a little closer to Philly, or how do you approach this?
It might come back down to that opener that Kevin was referring to of, -1 or so, but I don't think we've given up line value. I still think Brooklyn's worth a look here at -2.5, even -3. It's being on the road here, you're getting a discount. If this game was in Brooklyn, they'd move it 4 or 5 points. It'd be, 7, 8, 9 points for being at home. And now we're getting them at -2.5, 3. So even though it has gone up a basket, it's still a basic straight up win situation. And I do like the situation, the bounce back spot the guys have talked about. It was a tough spot for Brooklyn in game 1 at Milwaukee, defending world champs. And then we, of course, see Milwaukee get blown out last night, but they were shorthanded. And that's one of the reasons I had a strong best bet against them last night. It was just a situational play. Philly, meanwhile, off that easy win against New Orleans by 20 points. Huge step up in class here. So I think even though the line's moved a point and a half, there's still value with Brooklyn in this one.
All right, still leaning the Brooklyn Nets in that one. Keep an eye, guys. Wait to figure out what's going on with Embiid. In the meantime, we'll move on to yet another featured game here on the West Coast. Wow, what better, huh? Phoenix Suns taking on the Staples Center. The LA Lakers, 2.5 in an open in a lot of spots. I even saw 3.5 pop up there. Total of 226, and that has come way down. 221.5 is what we're seeing here. I believe we've got a situation here with no Kendrick Nunn, right? No Wayne Ellington. We got basically a team that's a work in progress here in the Lakers taking on a Phoenix Suns team that it looked good for a half, and then that was about it for them in their first game. So, Kevin Dolan, how you looking at with this?
Joe, this is a tricky one. If there's a Swiss flag coming out tonight, it's going to be on this game. The Warriors, not yet though. Let me finish. Not yet. The Warriors beating the Lakers in fairness in game 1 wasn't a complete shock to me. I was actually tempted to back the Warriors in that spot, although, as I said at the top, I generally tend to stay away from the opening night action. But the Phoenix result, in fairness, on Wednesday did surprise me. The best bet we gave out in Wednesday's show was the under in that game. So that wasn't a surprise. But I did think it would be the other way around, in fairness. I thought Phoenix would be the ones holding Denver to sub 100 points, not the other way around. So I am struggling a little with this one from a side perspective. Although I'd probably lean under again, but the way it's moved so far, I think you got to lay off. If the Lakers can get anywhere back to the defensive team they were last season, it's going to be hard with all these backup players. That's the way I'd look. But in all honesty, even though, look, this is a potential, Western Conference Finals preview, it's not a game I'm interested in betting, to be honest.
Yeah, so, well, it's interesting. I mean, not a shock, right? The way Phoenix kind of likes to slow the game down here, make it a half-court situation, which isn't going to play well for the Lakers. So, not shocked here, Steve Merrill, about the total coming down. How are you looking at it?
Yeah, there was a look ahead yesterday as high as 227.5. DraftKings, and then some of the offshores opened 225, 226. So it has definitely come down, Joe, because it's now 221.5. That's what Kevin was referring to. I do think the Lakers, as you said, are maybe a little bit of a work in progress. I did have a best bet against them in game 1 with the Warriors, that outright underdog winner to start things off Tuesday night. Phoenix, of course, lost as well on Wednesday. So you've got 2 Class A teams coming off a loss, but I think Phoenix is the more secure team right now. They're still the team that made the NBA Finals, went farther than the Lakers last year, still have all their pieces together. And I don't want to read too much into one game, but the Lakers shot 47% from the free throw line against the Warriors, 9 for 19. Suns were 71% the other night, and they were one of the better free throw shooting teams last year as well for the most part. So I think that could be the difference in a close game here, and I would lean Phoenix for that reason.
All right, leaning Phoenix there. How about it, Tony Mejia? Not shocked. Were you with the performance of Russell Westbrook and company there in Game 1? Did you like the rotations? How long is it going to take before we can start looking at this Lakers team and saying they're on the right track?
I guess you can say it was stunningly bad and not shocking. But I don't expect it to continue, at least that poorly. We've seen the lack of continuity throughout the preseason. That's why they went 0-5. I think the books have decided that they're not going to milk the Lakers brand this early on, outside of the futures, which they're still ranked as the Western Conference favorite. But they're a pick 'em at home against a team that really ran out of gas over the last 3 quarters against Denver the other night. So real interesting situation, because you would think that this normally would be a revenge spot. Phoenix eliminated the Lakers in June, I guess. And it was 3 consecutive wins for Chris Paul over his friend LeBron James. And now LeBron gets revenge. It's a Friday night nationally televised game. But what we saw on Tuesday takes us completely off of that, to the point where if the Suns were at home, this would be a 6-point spread. So, that's where we're at with this. And, I think it's a huge deal that you get no Nunn, no Trevor Ariza, no Talen Horton-Tucker, who would probably make a big difference. And obviously no Wayne Ellington, because they can't spread the floor the way they wanted to. And out of all the high-profile additions, Carmelo Anthony was the highest scorer the other night, shooting 3 for 9 with just 9 points. So, he'll figure out the rotations, Frank Vogel, but his hands are somewhat tied right now. Even though Devin Booker shot just 3 of 15, Phoenix still landed 7 players in double figures. If you put 2 and 2 together, you see where I'm going with this game. I gave it out. I'm riding Suns.
All right, back in the Suns to get it right. They did get it right, at least for a half in that game against Denver, and then, that was about it there. All right, guys, we got one more game here to break down before we, of course, put 60 seconds on the clock and ask you for your best bets. Let's talk a little overtime here. We'll take a look at a total on one of the games on the board, and that game going to be the Utah Jazz taking on the Sacramento Kings. An interesting game here. Utah on the road. The total has been steadily creeping up here since the open at 225.5, 227s. We're starting to see pop up. And the question is, how much do you trust the Jazz defense if it's an off shooting night for Sacramento? Does this thing come way under here? It's an interesting spot, Steve Merrill. But I'll ask you, is it over or not for you with these two teams?
Yeah, Sacramento's pretty much always an over team. It was all of last year, and it worked again for us on Wednesday in Game 1. In fact, that was the best bet we used here on the show. I also posted that as a free play on my page at WagerTalk.com. So we're 4-1 straight up on 4-1 against the spread on best bets, but we also cashed that free play. So I guess 5-1 overall in the NBA. We've been seeing it well. That game, by the way, 245 total points, went over the 234.5 on Wednesday. Both teams shot about average, so it was nothing funny about that. It was a fast pace. Utah is another team that's very good offensively. They play much, much better defense. So a little hesitant to jump on the over bandwagon tonight, but I will say we're getting a cheaper price because of it. I mean, it's only 226.5, which is a pretty low total for the Kings. This is the most public over-under play of the night, Joe. We talked about the Celtics being the most public side. And the over in this Sacramento game is the most public total, and I don't have a strong opinion on it. So whenever I see that, it kind of gets me looking the other way. So this might be one of those times I'm not on the Sacramento over bandwagon tonight.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot here, Tony Mejia. I mean, it's what do you think? Sacramento still being undervalued, maybe on the side side, but not from the total perspective, like Steve talked about. So if they're a little off tonight, the defense reigns for Utah. Is this thing going to go over?
Yeah, you could take me to Geneva to sign some peace accords, or to Zurich to go banking, because I'm Switzerland on this baby. I don't like where it opened. It was at 226.5 for me, and it's at 225.5 was the opener, and now it's at 226.5. No leeway. I do not expect Harrison Barnes to go 8 for 11 from the 3-point range. And at the same time, you know me, I respect Davion Mitchell immediately, who went 0 for 8 the other night from 3-point range with a little Mitchell and a little De'Aaron Fox guarding him. Damian Lillard in his home. Sacramento always tough at home, tougher at least than they are on the road. They're a lot deeper this season So this is a spot where if I'm doing anything, I'll go contrarian and take the points. But as far as the total goes, I don't really know that. It wasn't Portland's disgusting defense that they carried over from last year. That isn't the reason why the Kings were able to push that over 245. I actually thought that game was going to go under again because of Mitchell, and it would have. I think if the Blazers played a lick of defense because it was headed there early in the first half, and then the third quarter happened and it ran out of whack. But too early in the season for me to say that the Kings aren't going to be an under team for the first time in a bit.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because we're usually, by this time of the day, we're used to seeing this number already be over the 230 mark, and yet it's kind of hanging true. So it's an interesting spot for sure. All right, guys. Well, listen, we broke down 4 games. Now what we're going to do, one of our favorite parts of the show here, is we get to throw 60 seconds on the clock. And we give these guys the opportunity to do whatever they want with that 60 seconds, provided they make sure they drop a best bet somewhere in it. So, Steve Merrill and your props, those of you new, I'm so sorry about this, but Steve Merrill in the house, 60 seconds on the clock, man. What do you got, Steve? Talk to us.
So sorry to disappoint, but I didn't bring the props today because I got so much to promote. We don't have time. Don't forget, college football top 25 videos ready right now on WagerTalk TV. My Fade the Public NFL video this Saturday on WagerTalk TV right here on this channel. Check those out. And don't forget about a great promo code this week, Week 59, WEEK 59. Week 59 gets you the next 7 days and nights of every NBA best bet, 80% start this season, MLB playoffs, #1 this year in totals in baseball and college and pro football for a full 7 days and nights for just $59. Week 59, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. Let's look at a best bet here tonight on Friday in the NBA. It's on the nighttime card, of course, at 8 o'clock Eastern. We're going to look at the Houston Rockets -3. Some spots have gone to 3.5. It did open 1.5, went up to 3.5 a game. That was just a bit outside from making the cut, but I still think there's value even at 3.5 with the Rockets. I played against them on Wednesday night with a strong best bet win on the T-Wolves, an easy 18-point blowout. I think Minnesota's an underrated team this year, so I'm not discounting that win for Houston. I think it's a good bounce-back spot. Oklahoma City, meanwhile.
Oh, shut his ass down. Shut him down.
Yeah, I didn't see that damn
20 minutes
I'm
of
in game shape.
What kind of 20? You got 20 minutes of, I'm 5-1, I'm 6, and then you can't even finish the best bet. Yes, is out of here. Shut him down.
Can't have a clock Wednesday.
Shut him down. My word. Tony Mejia. Yeah, I got your Swiss miss. Tony Mejia, 60 seconds on the clock. Please do better than Steve Merrill, my friend. What do you got for us here tonight?
All right, I'll just say 12-1-1 in NFL. So come see me Sunday and come see me on Saturday. Beyond the promotion, just go to wt.buzz/TM and there'll be free plays there and you can look at all the records. Let's get to the game that I like the most tonight. It is, at least to give away as a free play, and it's Charlotte and Cleveland going over the posted total. We're going to bank that the Cavaliers, at least when they get Darius Garland, they're going to be able to continue to move the ball. But the good thing is if he doesn't play, because that's right now still in doubt, we'll get more Ricky Rubio, which means he'll also promote ball movement, but be a terrible defender while doing so. JB Bickerstaff is starting Lauri Markkanen instead of Isaac Okoro because he wants to spread the floor, but Markkanen's a terrible defender too. So there's a reason Memphis broke out 132 points the other night. And the Hornets, LaMelo Ball probably won't shoot 7 for 9 from 3-point range again. But Kelly Oubre won't take 9 threes again either. So I think there's the zeros. All right, give me the under.
He's late too.
That's the solidarity, man.
All right, listen, Dolan, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Number one, because Mejia Swiss missed us and we had to hit him with the flag, I didn't give you an opportunity to comment on the total for Utah-Sacramento, mostly because I figured these guys would have been done already. So, Gad, I'll give you the clock there. We'll give you extra time. Tell me what you think about the over on Utah-Sacramento and then lay out your best bet for us.
To be on, look, I mean, I think Steve said it. If Sacramento games, I'm not too enthused about playing an under. We are getting the line is a bit lower than the 234.5 that we saw on Wednesday. Yeah, and look, Utah can bring on an offense. Second in the league in offensive efficiency, third in overall offensive points per game. I actually like Utah in this spot. I would avoid the total. I think Sacramento's offense is going to bring out a bit of an animal in Utah tonight. In all honesty, I can see them covering this number. But in terms of a best bet, you can hang that clock for me, Joe. I'm ready to go.
Oh, it's on. It's on.
It's on. Let's go. So, I already talked about my best bet already on the show. It's the only game I actually bet for today. That's the Brooklyn Nets over Philadelphia 76ers tonight. I think the Nets win and cover that game for all the reasons I outlined earlier. Apart from that, 2 5% plays loaded up for this weekend in box and NFL, respectively. Number 1 on the season in NFL so far. And use code IRISH39. That gets you every play I release this weekend for only $39 all in. So make sure and grab that great deal. How much time we got left? 27 seconds. Who wants a blast of the Swiss national anthem?
Yes. Come on. Let's hear it. All right. Let's hear it.
Let's
Buzz his ass just for busting out that. Get him out of there, damn it. See, gentlemen, that is, yes, thank you. Turn that shit off, my God. But that's how it's done, guys. You see that 60 seconds, you get it out there. I mean, he even got out Irish Mist or whatever the hell that code was. What was that code? Irish what?
Irish Mist. Irish 39. Jesus.
Irish 30. I don't know. I stopped listening once you threw on that death music there. All right, guys. Once again, just a quick recap here of what we had going on. Tony Mejia looking at the Charlotte-Cleveland over tonight. It's an interesting game, 225. Steve Merrill likes, oh boy, Robert. Yeah, Robert. Oh boy, Houston -3. Yeah, oh, you look at the dude from Houston ain't even back in that play. And Brooklyn -2.5 for Kevin Dolan, along with his Swiss Miss, Irish Mist, and his Irish code somewhere at WagerTalk.com, guys. All right, that does it here. It's actually been a pretty productive first week here as the NBA Tip-Off Show is back. Time is running out, though. $9 packages here the first week of the NBA season. Take advantage of it now, guys, before it is gone. Head over to WagerTalk.com. You heard Steve Merrill 9 million times tell you he's 5-1 here on his plays. Then he's making up numbers with free play. I don't know. The bottom line is it's $9. Head over to WagerTalk.com as well as Tony Mejia and the Irish Mist himself there. Kevin Dolan, ready to rock and roll, all available right now heading into the weekend at WagerTalk.com. So do yourself a favor. Make sure you never watch this show. I'm only kidding. Go ahead and hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner, guys. Make sure you come back Monday. We'll start fresh here as we get ready to begin week 2 of the NBA season here on the NBA Tip-Off Show. Good stuff there. So on behalf of Steve Merrill, Tony Mejia, and Kevin Dolan, guys, appreciate the time. Best of luck with your plays here this weekend, and we'll talk to you on Monday.
With the WagerTalk one-day Power Pass, you receive every play from every betting consultant for one day at the ridiculously discounted price of just $1.99. What's better than one day of great games? Watching, following, and winning those games. Get your sportsbook edge with the entire WagerTalk team of handicappers with this one-day Power Pass. Every WagerTalk expert in every game they release for just one day. Your WagerTalk one-day Power Pass is right here, and it's yours for just $1.99.